Reed Duke versus Aspiring Spike. Pretty exciting winners match here in Modern Super League Week 3. I'm Gavin, joined by Caroline Pardee, and we are ready to kick things off. Looks like the players have kept their opening hands. We've got an Ancient Stirrings turn 1 from the Hardened Scales player. There's that Agatha Soul Cauldron in the hand too, by the way. That card, brand new and really nice.
That card is so crazy in this Hardened Scales deck. It just turns everything into a walking ballista. It's gonna be pretty overpowered, I think. I'm pretty excited to see it.
So there's Patchwork Automaton to get the ball rolling. So if you look at, really it's a tale of two decks, right? Down on Spike's side of the screen, you're like, all right, play some Automatons, play some Ravagers, chip in some damage. And on Reed's side, he's going to be going up the Beanstalk to Fairy, try and Leyline Binding and Temporal Mastery. It's the whole different ballgame over there.
They are two very different decks. Okay, it's funny. Spike's hand felt slow, but I guess nothing's really slow with Ravager, so I don't know.
The Patchwork Automaton, a nice little uncommon coming out of Kamigawa and Neon Dynasty. That thing can grow fast in this deck, right? I mean, next turn, might cast the Ravager, might cast the Soul Cauldron, and then, put a Reed facing lethal on turn 5, maybe turn 6 if he doesn't draw any action. I mean, it's pretty good stuff.
Yeah. And Teferi cannot bounce it.
Right. The Ward 2, quite Ward relevant, 2. As we saw in your game.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure people knew it was there. Yeah, I most certainly did not. So. Yeah, I did not. Reed looking more to play some more lands, though. Maybe another Beanstalk?
Yeah, a couple interesting options. I mean, you can't Leyline Binding the Patchwork Automaton, so you could go for a Beanie Boy or, Preordain. Probably going to see the beans here.
I actually don't know who went first, so I don't know if Reed has another land drop here.
Aspiring Spike kicked us off this game with the turn 1 Ancient Stirrings. So.
We can get another land drop.
Yep. Classic explore into some time walks. I always love this kind of deck. I think it's really cool that Reed brought this to the table today. It's a real fun one, and a fun one for you to go up and brew.
Yeah, I want to know how close their Modern Pro Tour just happened, right? So I guess this deck wasn't really that good before Beanstalk, but where was it on his list?
Yeah, he was in the back of his head waiting for a little Beanstalk to come around. So it just plays the Windswept Teeth and passes. Now, he's keeping up mana for Leyline Binding. He can't Leyline Binding the Patchwork Automaton, but he could Binding, one of the other things that Spike plays out. So, but man, that Ward 2 really doing work on that Patchwork Automaton.
And I will say the Binding is pretty good, exiling. That's what Spike was saying, getting rid of all of his stuff. But the Ravager does allow the things to be sacked instead of put under the Binding. So the Cauldron could still be relevant.
Yeah, very much so. We're going to go. Here we go. Just going all in on smashing. Play Hangerback Walker for 0.
Nothing, yeah.
Just to pump up those Patchwork Automatons. And that's a really heads-up play here by Spike. All right, so Reed's going to search for a land in response. And then, just going to go for a little Leyline Binding. Drawing card off the Beanstalk. And I think the target is probably going to be that Soul Cauldron. Because can't, a little harder sacrifice in response. Can't exile the creature from the graveyard, put a counter on something. Yeah, Soul Cauldron goes down.
Which technically is fine for Spike next turn, since there is another one.
Yep, he's got another Cauldron waiting in the wings.
It's a lot of damage this turn.
It definitely is. I mean, he's going to crunch in for 9 here. Basically, Reed has to solve the problem this turn. Now, he could Leyline Binding away one of the Patchwork Automatons playing the Ward. Or Teferi in a way, paying the Ward. But that's still going to be probably too much coming in on the other side. I think he's got to really string something together on this turn. Drawing a Time Warp would be nice so he can just take an extra turn and get ahead.
Yeah, it's tough too because he doesn't... Yeah, it's going to be tough, I think. I don't see any main deck Wraths. That's what I was looking for. No Supreme Verdicts.
Yeah, those are sideboard only. Well, so Spike set up, he sacked the Ravager to set it up so that 5 damage is lethal And he's got 2 5-power Ward 2 creatures. So going to be a pretty tough road for Reed Duke to Ho right here. He did not draw a Time Walk effect, so he can't try and string that together, buy a turn, get up to 6 mana. If he Leyline Bindings, that's going to cost him 3, so he can deal with one of them, but then the other one is still around. So putting Reed in certainly a bit of a pinch right now.
Go fast. That's, I think, what Spike has to do in order to get through all of the cool spells that Reed has. It's hard to cast a Time Walk or Time Warp, excuse me, if you're already dead. So
that's true. There's best way to take extra turns is to kill your opponent, and you take all of the turns.
Correct.
All right, so Reed thinking, what can he find out of this? Could he preordain into something?
Trying to see if there's any gain life situations. I don't see that either. I guess Solitude does something.
Yeah, I mean, you still got to pay the Ward 2. So, you know, maybe what you do is you go for Leyline Binding, pay, preordain, leave up 2 mana. And if you find Solitude, you get to cast it. That would be the move, probably.
Yeah, that's kind of the only way I can see playing 2 spells, but it does not leave Reed in the best spot. Though I guess it also leaves Spike basically nothing. So
yeah, I mean, it leaves you in a pretty good spot. You're gonna need to find exactly a Solitude, I think, on top of your library. He does get 3 peaks essentially, right? The top 2 cards of his library, plus what's ever underneath if he puts them on the bottom.
Yeah,
and we'll see.
Well, and there
it is! Check it out. There's the Solitude. So yeah,
I was gonna say Beanstalk draws a card too, but didn't need it.
Yeah, now I think actually we are going to end up slightly short because Leyline Binding costs a mana to cast. So he'll have to draw another Solitude off this Up the Beanstalk.
Oh, darn, we got so excited.
And, but the One Ring will buy you time, right?
Yeah, I guess.
And check this out. Reed opts to not take the 2 mana for the Ward because he has to just play the One Ring and stay around. That's pretty funny.
Wow.
Absolutely the right play. You have to do what it takes to stay alive.
Yeah.
Now here comes the Agatha Soul Cauldron, pumping those up, giving them all the abilities of Arcbound Ravager and Hangerback Walker.
Well, it's a slight problem because can't Spike just make a bunch of Hangerback Walkers?
Well, he can, right? So the way that Hangerback Walker and Agatha Soul Cauldron interact is it gives the activated abilities of the cards in the graveyard. The activated ability of Hangerback Walker is to just put a counter on it, not the death triggers. So
okay. So it's not as busted as I thought.
Yeah, still quite good. Now, if you get a Walking Ballista in there, that's where things get really gnarly. All right, so Reed taps the One Ring, draws a card, gonna go down to 3 life, draws to Fairy Time Raveler.
I don't think that's it.
So he can spend 3 mana to Leyline Binding away one of the Patchwork Automatons, but he's still gonna be short. But he could draw, with Leyline Binding, he could draw a Solitude, perhaps, off the top of his library with Up the Beanstalk.
Yeah, he can kind of go for the same. Yeah. If I didn't know it had Ward before, I certainly do now. And it's coming in clutch.
You might just need to One Ring up, and yeah, you risk it. But yeah, here he goes. He's gonna One Ring, draw some cards. He draws a Time Warp.
You got another.
That's gonna buy him a little bit of time. It will drop him to 2 life, or to 1 life rather, on his next turn. So he's really in a squeeze right here, but trying his best. Draws up the Beanstalk.
Another Beanstalk. That's a lot of Beanstalks.
Plays a land. He can't crack the fetch land though because he's going to be sitting at virtual 1 life, right? So he's got to leave that in play. Goes down to 2 or 1 off the One Ring.
Well,
this is the turn, and he draws Solitude.
This is enough mana, right, for it to work.
So he can do it, but then can he get rid of the One Ring? That's what he's got to figure out to do. And he draws a card all the way up the side there. I can't quite make out what the one on the right is. It might be
one of them looks like Breeding Pool. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, this is a really sticky situation.
So you need the other Solitude, off the Solitude,
and he can't crack his fetch lands, right? He could do something creative like Leyline Binding, the One Ring, and then Solitude or whatever. But he's just like a little bit short on every axis. He doesn't quite have enough mana to do it all. He can't crack his fetch lands. He could try and take another turn. He's like sitting on a 1 life, just like it's just very narrowly. Not enough in a lot of ways, but maybe he'll find it. He could try and Beanstalk. He could try and Beanstalk into another Solitude, Solitude them both away, and then Leyline Binding his own ring in his upkeep.
That would be impressive.
Certainly impressive, but Reed Duke is one impressive man, so
very true.
Do what we can. Right, and none of these lands he's got right now are any good. You can't tap him for mana. They'll come into play tapped. You'll have to sack him. You can't use them right now. That Explorer is not going to do anything better.
Yeah, so it's all the lands we have, and that's all we got. Okay, what's Reed brewing up? I assume Solitude is the start?
All right, so here's what's going to happen. We're going to go for Leyline Binding, it looks like.
Targeting...
Oh, this is... All right, so yeah, he's going to Leyline Binding to draw a card. He draws the one ring.
Okay, survives again.
What he's got to do is exile his own the one ring.
He doesn't have to because he has another one ring.
Oh, right, he can lend your it away, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yep. So he plays Leyline Binding,
wow.
plays Agatha Soul Cauldron, draws exactly the one ring. Holy smokes. Great draws here from Reed Duke. Then he's going to slam down this one ring, gain protection, and stabilize at 1 life. And stabilize is a very strong word, I will note. He'll stabilize though at 1 life. But so many live draws from Aspiring Spike, right? If he draws a single Walking Ballista, that is game over. But let's see what he finds.
Wow. Cleanup step. Get rid of some of these lands we can't do anything with. I guess the Explorers technically still draw a card.
Oh, and the chat points out you can't land binding your own things. Nice. Good to know.
Great. Love it. Good job, chat. Chat's always.
You don't have to leyline binding your own stuff very often. I'll tell you that. But or you wouldn't. That situation wouldn't come up very often. Okay.
That is not a Walking Ballista.
Okay.
Okay. How does he survive this turn? I guess it involves Solitude. So
now he's got a bunch of mana. He's got access to 6 mana. So he can Solitude for free, exiling one of them, the Fairy Time Raveler, and pay the 2 for the other, right? That should do it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, that's only
because Solitude is free.
Yeah, so it costs 2 mana, and then
the Flooded Strand.
Yeah, the Flooded Strand is stopping that currently. Oh, there we go. Buy another turn. Oh, we picked it up. Oh, I see. I thought we drew it. Yeah, so we got another turn. Reed always has another turn.
He still needs the 4th mana. That's Flooded Strand cannot be sacrificed right now because we're sitting at 1 life.
Oh no. Okay. I guess the Solitude can draw another card. Draw a basic.
Right, try and draw a basic land. So here comes Solitude. He'll draw a card off the Beanstalk.
And this Flooded Strand has really made it challenging. Okay. We can't see what card, I think. Or maybe it was the Leyline Binding, so never mind. It was not a land.
All right, and there it is.
That's it.
A great effort there from Reed. A really fantastic effort there from Reed, but was sadly not able to stretch everything together for a win, although very valiant effort. Nicely done.
I will say, like, Spike didn't have to do a lot, I guess, other than sweating every draw ever. Like, he did just have kind of 2 big creatures, and that's it. He didn't go too crazy. There wasn't Hardened Scales. There wasn't Thozlith. Like, I don't know. It seems like a little bit more in favor for him. But Reed does get his Supreme Verdicts. I wasn't quite watching sideboarding. Did you see anything else spicy come in?
Yeah, so you see those Supreme Verdicts come in. That's going to be a pretty big deal here to help just put a gum in the works on that side of things. I see over on Aspiring Spike side, I think that Welding Jar is sideboard. I think that's a sideboard Welding Jar, not a main deck one. Let me look at the deck list. Yeah, I think there's 1 sideboard Welding Jar he's brought in here. Other than that, not a ton of changes.
Mm-hmm.
This way you can Welding Jar off Urza Saga to keep your stuff alive, which is pretty notable. Notably, though, you can regenerate off Supreme Verdict, right? It's not Wrath of God, so you can stick around through all of that.
Okay.
And looks like Reed takes out his Explorers, takes out his Teferi. Teferi probably just a little too slow.
Oh no, not the Temporal Mastery.
Temporal Mastery coming out.
How will we know when it's a miracle?
All right, and the players are off to the races. Let's go into game 2.
Okay.
Reed's going to be on the play here. And that's going to be a mulligan for sure.
Yeah.
Going down. This hand, though, looks a lot more reasonable. We'll see if he keeps, but I imagine he will. He's got Path to Exile, Supreme Verdict, Leyline Binding, up the Beanstalk. So that's going to give him some action to go. Spike's hand, on the other hand, he's got that early Ancient Stirring, Zabaz, Patchwork Automaton, and then Urza Saga as well. So for an all right opening hand, nothing bananas, but good enough to get the job rolling.
Yeah, I guess I just want to see cool, spicy hands, but this seems like a normal, regular hand that you would keep.
You know, Retract points out in chat this is a tough match for Reed. I definitely agree that, you know, this kind of deck is going to have trouble with the quick aggressive decks. It doesn't have as much on the ground interaction. However, if there's any stumbling, if, you know, Spike gets swept or whatever by a board sweeper, that might buy Reed the time he needs to get rolling. And I think, you know, last game we saw Reed could chain stuff together. He was very slightly short. And, you know, if he'd been on the play that game, he might have been able to make it all happen. So it might be a little bit tighter.
In post-board games, he has access to the sweepers, which would have clearly been clutch last game. Yeah.
So here's turn 1 Zabaz, followed by Patchwork Automaton, just getting that aggression rolling. And Spike has drawn Agatha Soul Cauldron again, sitting there.
Yes, but not a lot else, I'll say, currently.
Yeah. Now with that Urza Saga, decent chance we might just see him make a construct. Nope, he's gonna pass. He's gonna go for Ancient Stirrings, and then probably the Soul Cauldron to trigger the Automaton here.
Yeah, or something fun off the Stirrings, like a Ravager.
Very nice. All right, so here comes the Ravager, I imagine, or the Soul Cauldron. That's great.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think there's some concern about sweepers, like just playing all your creatures on curve. But
all right. Yeah, now Reed looks like he's actually in a pretty good spot now, right? Like he's going to go land. He can sweep the board, get rid of the Automaton and Zabaz if he wants to, or just one ring and start his draw engine going and offer up a sweeper next turn. There's not a great way for Spike to disrupt that. You could find Welding Jar with Urza Saga, but that's only going to do minimal damage.
yeah, and Reed is in a much better life total spot as well. Reed does seem really prioritized to get rid of that Cauldron. I think it's a pretty scary card, even though it is brand new to the deck.
And here's the One Ring, right? So you'll pick up a new card off that. And then, you know, if he untaps, he'll have the One Ring active. He'll be at 12 life, or 11 life, I suppose. Start to Supreme Verdict the board away. And that can really stabilize him.
So will Spike make a construct here? I think given how he's been playing a little conservatively, it's like we're just still thinking. The construct is nice here because it, you know, he doesn't have to add anything else to the board. And the ring doesn't necessarily say that there was no sweeper, just that the ring is cool. Okay.
And there's Needle. So he's going to Needle, I presume, the One Ring.
Correct. He actually named a real card this time. That's nice. Against me, he did not name a real card. Well, he did, but not a real relevant card.
So there's Ravager. Gonna crunch in now. Right now, we'll probably, yeah, he can't attack, I guess, because of the One Ring, right? So yeah, it's gonna skip there.
Reed, I don't know. Reed seems like he's got all the things he needs in order to.
Yep,
ahead.
Right. He's got that. He's got the One Ring active. He's got Preordain. He's to find what he needs. He's got a draw 3 if he wants it.
And we just have to wait around for all of the pieces to come together. But I think this is the spot Spike doesn't want to be in. One okay card in hand and not much else going on. Maybe some Nexus beats. Maybe we'll just beat in with our Inkmoth Nexus 10 turns in a row. Let's see. Opting for not that plan. That makes sense.
All right, there's the One Ring. Make him lose a little bit of life. He draws Path to Exile for an extra removal. So his hand is pretty well stocked at this point, right? He's got Leyline Binding, Double Solitude, Path to Exile.
It's kind of incredible how good Path looks in comparison to the last couple of years. It's been nice. Okay, Welding Jar does not work. Maybe now we'll turn to the Inkmoth Nexus plan.
And he's got the Welding Jar to protect something. But yeah, I imagine we're going to see, this Ballista get blown up. And also Reed having 4 exile removal spells is, going to blank that Welding Jar pretty much.
And Reed can just play Solitude too. It doesn't even have to, I guess Reed will lose his Solitude that way, but he's got a lot of options. Let's say. Little dance of does Spike pump it up? We'll see. Reed's hand is just like blue-white control cards right now, and I don't like it. I like the fun stuff.
Here's Solitude, picking up a new card, right? So by not activating it there, we can now activate it in response to get an extra damage in on the Walking Ballista, or extra 2 damage in the Walking Ballista, thanks to Hardened Scales.
Yeah, it was a good little dance. And then here we go. Oh, I like that. There's actually a nice little trick with Pendelhaven, so that get rid of all the counters. Maybe it was just for fun. I actually can't tell if it was needed. Uh-oh.
All right. Well, Spike is now a little out of gas. He's got these 2 Inkmoth Nexi he can send in with. Now, but Reed has answers waiting in the wings for those if he wants to.
Yeah, it puts Reed at a higher life total because he's currently at 7, and then he's starting over again.
He's just going to hard cast the Solitude, draw a pair of cards off the Beanstalk, get rid of one of those Inkmoth Nexus. He'll go to 1 poison, but long way away. Takes a damage off the One Ring, draws another Solitude.
I think this is Reed's. I will say Reed bringing in Rest in Peace is interesting. I guess the Agatha's Soul Cauldron is just a really scary situation.
Right, and if there are cards you just don't need in the matchup, it's a tool in your toolbox. Right, so plays the Welding Jar. But, Spike had a great start, and this deck is really prone to some really nice aggressive starts. But Reed has definitely turned the corner. He's got everything he wants, basically. He's got 3 removal spells in his hand. He's just going to cast the Solitude to draw 2 cards and have a 3/2 attacker, right? I mean, he's going to crunch in, gain 6 life. And once you get that rolling, he's going to keep drawing off. Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Yeah, Spike is like, no, thank you.
He's like, yeah, we're good. We can move on.
Let's head to game. Well, let's go see sideboarding.
All right, in comes Pithing Needle. A couple small changes. Being on the draw, being on the play, rather. Make a couple small changes to the deck. Reed's deck so sweet, right? Is it better than other decks in the format? I have no idea, but it's just a delight to watch. I'm really enjoying watching him play this deck.
Ooh, I just saw the dress down. That's fun. It's a good one. I like that. Yeah, I think
Rest in Peace also stops modular. The chat points out, right? A great point. Stops Hangerback Walker triggers as well as Arcbound Ravager triggers.
Wow. Yeah, so it's actually a really good sideboard card. Okay. I think both opening hands seem pretty good.
Yeah, great opening here, actually, I think, for the Scales player. I mean, it is missing the Hardened Scales, which is, of course, the card you're always looking for. But it's got an early Patchwork Automaton that'll grow pretty quickly.
Ooh, there's lots of removal hanging out over there. Man, this hand just looks like a blue-white control. I don't like it. Draw the cool cards.
On the other hand, I love it. All right, cracks the land. Gonna probably go for a Preordain here. Take some damage, yep. A little bit of scrying.
I assume Spike will go the kind of normal play at this point, which is a turn 2 Patchwork Automaton. Maybe a Welding Jar to protect it. So it doesn't really protect much, I guess, in this deck.
You called it, Caroline. There's the Patchwork Automaton.
Nailed it. Yeah, does Welding Jar protect anything? Because it just regenerates, right? Everything else exiles?
Well, Supreme Verdict, for example, it'll protect against that, which is pretty nice.
Doesn't that say? Okay, it says can't be countered. Okay.
Right. All right, 1 mana.
Oh, is it Wrath of God that says can't be regenerated?
Correct. Yeah, Wrath can't be regenerated. All right, so
I like
gonna March of Otherworldly. Oh wow, getting rid of the Urza Saga. Very nice.
Very nice.
Setting him back a land. So just playing a little Stone Rain action right there. And we're gonna see this Automaton hit hard. Here comes Welding Jar. Here comes Arcbound Ravager.
Nice little smash.
All right, in for 3, going to 14.
On the other side of the table, it's like, oh yeah, I'll take 3. And then 2 turns later, you're like, wow, how am I dead? Like, I just took 3 once.
For sure, yeah. Now there's a Path to Exile and a Solitude sitting here. So if Reed wants to get that Automaton off the table by paying the ward cost, he certainly can. If he wants to go even Solitude one of them, pay for it, and then Path to Exile the other, he could to get rid of the board completely, although that does put him pretty far down on cards. And he just looks like he's going to pass here and just say, you make the first move.
I was going to say, Reed does seem like the wait and you do all the work kind of guy before he makes any decisions.
All right, so then here is Zabaz. Gonna make that modular a little stronger.
Yeah, now there's somewhere for the counters to go.
And there's that Walking Ballista.
Will this require some action from Reed?
Reed is certainly going to need to do something this turn. The only question is what exactly and how much of it. All right, he's going to start by cracking the fetch land. And we're probably going to see at least 1, if not 2 removal spells spent this turn. All right, he's going to start with the Path to Exile. And he's going to pay the ward on the Patchwork Automaton.
Smart. Great play. Okay. Looks like that's all we're doing right now.
Yep, 2 damage. Totally fine for Reed. Now Reed needs to find his 4th land, so he's gonna. Okay, first he's gonna go with the Rest in Peace.
And as we now know, that stops the modular.
Yep, so just wanted to get that modular down. He's going to hit the Walking Ballista, and this gives Reed an opening to get rid of that Ballista, which is kind of probably what he was hoping for here by forcing Spike's hand. Yep, so here's going to come the Solitude, exile the Leyline Binding.
Does give Spike the chance to kind of draw something juicy and keep going. Reed's not up to a lot and stuck on 3 lands.
He's going to preordain. Maybe find the 4th land here.
Oh, okay.
And then, you know, if a lot's going to depend on this turn what Spike draws, because if Reed untaps, if he has 4 lands and the 1 ring and has a Beanstalk ready to go, he could climb himself out of the hole. If Spike, on the other hand, draws some action, stirrings into something good.
Yeah, I guess maybe Rest in Peace makes it kind of limiting on what Spike can draw.
Certainly limits it.
So is the Beanstalk? It actually, that's what it does. It draws you out of the hole. Is that why it's Beanstalk?
Oh, because you climb up the Beanstalk.
You climb up,
right?
yeah. So you're in the hole, and you cast your 5 mana spells, and you make your way out. That makes sense, actually.
Climb up the Beanstalk.
Oh, I wonder what the decision is.
Yeah, we can't see the top of the library. We only get to see what you all see, but it looks like Reed is a bit in the tank on what he wants here. If I were to guess, and I could be wrong, it's probably a calculation on if he wants the 4th land. If there are 2 good cards on top, he's going to put on the bottom, trying to get a 4th land. But I don't know. It's all just speculation.
Ooh.
Oh, here we go. We get a live look in. He keeps Lorien revealed.
Oh.
It was
so no land.
We're being told the cards on top of his library were Up the Beanstalk and Lorien revealed.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're going to start with Ancient Stirrings here. And once again, don't know what the choices are, but...
oh, yes, we do.
Okay. He's going to grab Urza Saga.
Okay.
And then looking like maybe the Automatons, the Boz, Hangerback Walker.
Automaton seems like a good non-modular threat.
I love that. Nice live look in there. Nice, great work,
thank
producer.
You.
All right, so he crunches Reed down to 9. Knows that there's no 4th land from Reed, so he's feels a bit of blood in the water. All right, there's Up the Beanstalk. Looking for that land. Draws Leyline Binding, but cannot cast it for just 1 mana.
You can go get a land with Lorien Retreat. Is that what it's called?
Lorien Revealed, yeah. So we've got white, blue, green currently as the land types. So
grab a Triome.
Leyline Binding not at 1 yet, and there's the Triome.
Okay. Can we draw a combination of artifacts?
All right, so Spike draws Agatha's Soul Cauldron, which is extremely weak, given that all graveyards are exiled forever. So instead, he just opts to leave up Urza Saga token creation mana and passes here.
Makes sense.
All right, Reed draws Manamo. And now he can go for the 1 ring if he wants to.
And untap it.
Yeah.
Can't untap it this turn, but still pretty fun.
But in future turns, that's a great combination. Absolutely.
Yeah. Reed can also Leyline Binding and pay, right?
So it gets reduced by 4 right now. So yeah, if you wanted to do that, you could. Although it would take basically his whole turn.
Yeah.
All right, he opts to go up the Beanstalk. Finds another land.
Ooh, there we go. And I guess Reed can still Leyline Binding, just not targeting the Patchwork. Maybe target the Solver token.
Yeah, the token will threatens a bunch of damage, and drawing that extra card off the Beanstalk is going to dig him for what he's looking for.
Yeah, two cards will be nice.
So there's that 4/4 construct token. With the trigger on the stack, I predict he'll make another token here.
Yeah, there's not much else that Spike would need the mana for, so I think that makes sense.
Okay. And in response to making that token, I think he's just going to...
Oh, that's right. Reed can now Leyline Binding for 1 with the new Triome.
Yep. Get rid of that 5/5. And then draw 2 cards up the Beanstalk, and it's really going to depend on a lot of what he draws here. He does have the 1 ring, of course, to buy an additional turn, but he's got to find some answers.
And Spike can now deal with the Rest in Peace. So...
Yep, Haywire Mike can get rid of the Rest in Peace, it's true. Which would turn on the Agatha's Soul Cauldron, at least.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so picks up a couple cards. Oh, and he draws Supreme Verdict.
Ooh, but there's
that is huge.
Well, there's absolutely the Welding Jar is chilling.
Yeah, I mean, Welding Jar is huge, but you get rid of those creatures, it shrinks down the construct token. Um,
It's true.
quite a powerful draw there.